Hi, friends. Welcome back to the library. Today I have with me Mr. Maverick. He's an author currently. Super excited to be talking to you. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in your journey into writing.
So actually, I got started in my journey in writing is actually my wife. Wife is a full time author, Magdalene Montgomery. She quit her full time job where she worked. She started writing romance and kind of seeing the way that she did it. Um, so I kind of picked up from her what she learned, and am a currently a published author with two books.
Oh, that's exciting. So you said your wife writes romance. Do you write the same thing or do you write something different?
So I actually write. So I grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock movies, reading Dick Tracy, watching Mike Hammer. So I kind of was grown up around the suspense thriller genre. So that's what I write. I write crime suspense thrillers.
Ooh, okay. For all of our crime friends, suspense friends, tell us a little bit about why you chose, um, obviously after writing, but what specifically about those? Was it just like the love of the unknown that drew you there?
So I love the it's kind of the unknown and just all the twists and turns throwing into the book. The
Mm-hmm.
current book that I have out, I just released Blood from a Stone, which is my second book in the Stone Chronicles. It I threw in like a curveball at the end to kind
Okay.
of people like reading the book, and then all of a sudden it just throws uh, like a left turn into it to kind of give everybody that what's going to happen next.
Yeah, yeah. So how many books are you think are going to be in this series you're working on?
So I actually have two out now. My
Mm-hmm.
first one is Stone's Edge, was my debut novella. Released it last year on New Year's Eve, and then I just released the sequel, which is Blood from a Stone. And then I'm currently working on a standalone called Forged in Hell. It's a Demon MC, and then I'm
Ooh.
going to pick up a probably at least three more, and then possibly maybe some uh, offshoots or spinoffs.
Yeah, yeah. So almost like an interconnected, but just giving it a little bitty piece of its own thing. I love that.
Thank you.
So tell me, you said you've been reading for a while. Were you reading as a child? And, what kind of got you started reading?
So yeah, I've been reading since I was a kid. They always the favorites. The Indian in the Cupboard was always one that I always enjoyed picking up, and then kind of started to pick up a little more other books. I am a when I have the time between working a full time job, writing, and I also like to game. And
Yes.
as a kid, one of my favorite games was always Rainbow Six. And remember being in the library and Rainbow Six on the shelf. I'm like, oh, it's a book too. So picking it up, and I still enjoy kind of nostalgia reading Rainbow Six to this day.
Gotcha. So I'm guessing your gaming expertise has shifted a little bit. Maybe not always the same game. Obviously, we like to visit those older ones, but what's your interest now for gaming?
So right now, there's always a nostalgia playing Twisted Metal 2. But right now, I'm actually playing football, playing Madden, and then I like to kind of have some human competition. I like to play Rocket League.
That's it. That's where it's at. I know my husband is a huge gamer too, so we've gotten to the point where we're collecting a lot of consoles. So he's got
Mhm.
his Xbox One and Xbox 360, the original Xbox. He's got a Wii, a PS2, a Frogger, and a couple other of those AV plug-in games. They don't make those anymore.
Yep, yep.
But yeah, that's really interesting. I love to see that these worlds are colliding like that. We've got quite a
Mhm.
few people who they like to read and game and do all of those things. We've got a bunch of Discord groups now that talk about anything and everything.
Yep. Yeah, I could see honestly the one thing I would love to see is my books, my two books I have out, my Stone Chronicles, I would love to see as a video game, and I could honestly see it basically being kind of like a open sandbox. Jack, who is the main character in my book, basically kind of like solving crimes along his storyline, kind of like basically kind of running on like that Spider-Man engine, doing little side missions plus also the main story. So I think that would be awesome. I'd love to see a Jack Stone video game.
Yeah, yeah, like a darker. I'm getting like a darker Zelda vision here.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
That would be amazing. And Zelda's huge. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
That would be fun. You know what? A lot of people think that they want I mean, obviously we want books to turn into movies. Some do them justice and some don't. But I've never
Hmm.
heard anyone say that they would like their book to turn into a video game. That'd be really interesting.
Yes, it would basically, and I kind of have the idea basically being able to customize Jack's weapon in his car and his clothes, and just kind of like almost kind of like a Grand Theft Auto, but basically solving solving crimes and solving cases and stuff.
Oh my gosh. We need this. Wherever
Yes, we
the smart
yes.
people listening. Whoever has the ability to get in touch, you know what? I'll have to do some digging. I'm sure I got
Okay.
friends somewhere. We're gonna do some digging, get some
Yes.
friends. So tell me, I went to a book con recently. So tell me, have you or your wife ventured out into that area yet?
So we're actually we go as readers. We go to book conventions,
Woo!
um, and then we also go as readers and authors. But we were actually just last month. We were actually in Washington D.C. at a Polycon.
Ooh!
Yes, and so my favorite author that she got me into, and I've listened to the book a dozen times, is Den of Vipers. Absolutely love Den of
Yes.
Vipers. So I actually went dressed as Kenzo, and I got to meet my one of my idols, K.A. Knight.
Mm, such a good book. Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
absolutely.
That's crazy. I got to go to Readers Take Denver. And so that was an experience of itself. Tell me a little bit about your experience as a con, like going to the con itself.
They're definitely. I know I've heard the issues with Readers Take Denver
Yeah.
this last year. It was, yeah, it was very interesting. At least from what I heard, that was what my wife and me were wanting to go to. But a lot of them are a lot of fun. Getting to meet. Getting to meet authors that I've seen before, kind of start to grow a friendship and
Hmm.
relationship with them, kind of getting advice from them. Hey, what do you think I should do with this? But I think they are absolutely a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about that more, getting some advice whenever you're looking at becoming an author, when you are already an author, you're established and you're publishing, and with a lot of the things we've got going on with people review bombing and that kind of thing. What does that feel like, trying to get your stuff out there and having that worry of not necessarily it not doing well, but maybe worry of being attacked, maybe is how I'll phrase it.
That is always going to be somebody. There's always going to be that worry of being basically someone giving a bad review or being
Hmm.
like a review troll. That's always a worry, I think, for every author. But I write stuff. I write stuff for myself. So whatever I write, I write it because I enjoy it, but I'm
Mhm.
sure there's probably somebody out there that is going to enjoy what I write. And that actually is very true because right now, so my Jack Stone book, my first one, has got 9 reviews and it's 5 stars. So there are people out there like, hey, this is a really good book. Hey, I need number 2. And I've had a lot of people that say, hey, they've come to they knew that I was as a writer or an author at a convention. They're like, I need number 2 now. And like I said, I'm working on this is when it comes out, or I need number 3. Like, what happens next? You just have to wait.
Yeah. So what as far as like you're indie published, correct?
Correct.
So your decision into to do so, did you want to seek out traditional publishing, or was there something that pushed you away from that? Did you just want more control over your image?
So yes, I am indie, but I am looking to get with a publisher to kind of get my
Mm-hmm.
name out there, kind of marketing and be able to. I mean, I'd like to have control over my image and my work, but just kind of working with with a traditional or hybrid publisher to be able to get my name out there to kind of be the more well known, to kind of be the with
Mm-hmm.
the conventions, so that way when people see like Maverick Montgomery, like I need to meet him, I need to go. I've read his work. So yes.
Yeah. I feel like there's some people I've talked to, there's almost like not necessarily a fear, but the massive hesitation comes from some publishers that go into things. They get a lot more control over the situation because they
Mhm.
have that footprint. And it's a lot about getting their stories into the stores, especially for someone like Harley LaRoe. You know, she went viral on TikTok, or they went viral on TikTok. I don't want to offend. And so it was one of those where now that they're getting a publishing deal, um, it's more available in the store rather than
Mhm.
just being on Amazon, which I feel like has its advantages and disadvantages.
Right, and I definitely, and that's kind of my dream, is to kind of get like going into either like, and I think it's every author's dream to be in Barnes and Noble, but
Oh yeah.
that's kind of the dream, to be in Barnes and Noble, or to be into like literally one day going into kind of Walmart or another bookstore and seeing, and just that the pride of seeing your book on the bookshelf.
Hmm. I could not imagine that feeling, getting it to hold something you've created for the first time. I've done like lots of puzzles and arts and craft projects, and like
Mhm.
I get the dopamine from finishing it. But for you guys, I feel like there's a second rush. Like you finish it and you get your dopamine, and then once you get like the first physical copy of it bound with your cover, I feel like you'll get another one.
Absolutely.
Because
Yes, absolutely.
my ADHD brain would love that, but at the same time, that is a scary thing for me. I could take off so fast.
Right,
The
I get
writing,
that. Yes, absolutely.
So tell me, do you have any like unpopular bookish opinions? I know some people are really finicky about.
Um, I really don't.
Hmm.
I don't really have any unpopular like. Um, I mean, it's kind of. I always like any book I read. I I find like the positive in it, and um, just it to me, it's just the joy of just kind of reading and then creating, um, kind of getting lost into a world of literature.
Yeah. I know that there are some people that would prefer like brand new books or used book. Do you have a preference yourself?
I am one, so I like both. I like like an ebook just because I can have like
Mhm.
my TBR list is absolutely out of control. But having the ebook, being able to carry my Kindle with me wherever I go,
Mhm.
but to me, nothing beats having a physical book in your hand. It's the because it basically you get to have all five senses. You get to feel the pages. You get
Mhm.
to smell the paper, the feel of the. It just kind of it it fulfills all five senses.
It does. I do see that.
Mm,
I I feel like it also kind of touches on that same nostalgia thing we were talking about earlier, like because for a while there, up until maybe the last 5 years or so, e-readers weren't huge like they are now.
no, exactly.
So it was very
Yeah.
much like you had to go to a secondhand store or a Barnes and Noble or a Books a Million or something like that, Walmart, to get a book. And it's that same, I equate it to like, for those of us who like the leather smell, walking into a boot barn or like walking into
Absolutely.
that bookstore. And when you go into the bookstore, there it's typically hand in hand with like a Starbucks nowadays. So you get the
Hmm.
smell of the coffee and the paper for and then the glue with the binding just has this unique
Yep.
smell.
Yes.
And for me,
Yes.
I used to go in on the weekends and just sit in the back of the store or sit in the floor. And you can still do so. Most bookstores don't care if you just like sit in the floor and read.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like that's one of the safest places and safest things to do nowadays. Like,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, I would absolutely that, and I totally agree with that. That it's a safe place, and it's kind of like I said, getting lost into the world. And ebooks have kind of come up because of the um, going from the physical books to ebooks, kind of with the I need it now kind of um, yeah, kind of needing it now.
that, yeah. And it makes me, I've spoken to a lot of authors outside of the US and Canada, and it's gotten to just since COVID and how popular things have gotten with the e readers, it's then pushed other places in the world to actually start having more bookstores, anyways. Because
Hmm.
we, in the United States, and we don't necessarily think about the fact that it's not easily accessible. Like Amazon is a thing in other countries of the world, but it's typically pricier and not as easily deliverable for them.
Or
Um,
exactly, yes,
yeah, that's the
yeah.
big thing is it's not always easily accessible for delivery companies, and
Hmm.
so books in general were just harder to get. And some countries have laws on those things, but since COVID and the shutdown and how things have changed in the years after, just the sheer amount of availability has become greater. And I feel like it's not necessarily just for the sake of like romance readers and all, but in general knowledge, in general books, and the ability to get your hand on one has
Hmm.
become a little bit more accessible. And I like to see that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'd like to see because I know because with COVID and kind of pre-COVID that a lot of bookstores kind of closed down. I'd like to see
Mm-hmm.
a kind of an uprise in because I know Barnes and Noble is still around, but like Borders and Books a Million kind of start to see those kind of pop
Mm-hmm.
up physical brick and mortar stores again, kind of reopen to kind of because I know, like I said, Amazon is kind of taken over the world, and sometimes it's not as easy or accessible to get Amazon to
Mm-hmm.
like places to be able to deliver. But yeah, I think with a brick and mortar store, I think starting to see those pop up again, I think would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And I feel like the same goes for libraries in general. Like, I know that a lot of cities probably have their libraries, but I don't think that they're as depended on as they used to be
Hmm.
because of the brick and mortar stores. And so, well, not necessarily that it's their fault, but what happens is instead of, I feel like instead of loaning from the library or borrowing, we just end up buying outright. And
Hmm.
I feel like we forget to teach our kids that that is an act like an accessible, valuable thing.
Absolutely, yeah. The bar, because yeah, it's. I mean, it's basically it's the and you're correct that it's there's the stores or even like the Amazon. We just buy it outright and we own it
Mm-hmm.
instead of um, going to the local library and going to borrow it. But I guess and then the downside is the kind of that is like going to it, it may not being available, but like the kind of like what I mentioned, the wanting it kind of I need it now to
Mm-hmm.
so but yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with a lesser amount of patience nowadays. It's kind of where we're sitting. So tell me about your process for writing, pre-publishing, and how you feel about. Obviously, we love ARC readers, but do you have a street team, or do you um, personally do all of your drafts, or do you have a beta team as well? That sort of thing.
So I do actually. So I didn't do it for Blood from a Stone just because it was I kind of wanted to get it out and let people running number two, but I
Mhm.
did do arc readers for Stone's Edge. I actually used Book Sprout
Okay.
to do arc team. I do actually have a couple of authors that I have kind of looks like a growing relationship with. Like, yeah, I'll be a beta reader if you want, or I'll be an arc reader. So I kind of have those people that I can tap on the shoulder for a resource like, hey, would you beta read this for me? Or, hey, would you mind arc reading this for me? So that way to kind of help get reviews and kind of get it out there. But I plan on doing that for when Forged in Hell comes out. I plan on um, doing arcs for it.
Yeah. What so when you're looking at your story, obviously you said for the high demand on book two, you didn't go through that, but what is your thought process on looking for number three? Like, does it take some relief off of your shoulders as far as editing goes, or just kind of what happens there?
Um, I guess kind of um, with the editing. So I'll write it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll step away, and then I'll kind of come back to it and look at it again. That way, I've got fresh eyes, and then I actually have a couple people that so one is my wife. Wife is she's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let her look over it before I send it out and let her kind of make any
Mm-hmm.
adjustments. And then I will send it out to a couple editors that I have that I'll send it out and then they'll send it back to me. And but yeah, I kind of have like a double. That way, there's two different people looking at it for editors.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, when I write it, um, I'm one that, and I actually put this actually in one of the acknowledgments in my book, is I let the characters tell their story. I just write it down. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll let them tell their story, how they want to do it. Sometimes that I'll have the idea and I'll write it down. There's other times and I've kind of seen it, it's kind of funny. I laugh every time I see it. It's the when your imaginary friend won't talk to you.
That is funny.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Or sometimes they just won't shut up. And it's like, okay, we're gonna keep writing. And there's other times like they just won't. They basically ignore you and won't talk to you.
I'm being a little stingy.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, I don't think I've ever posed this question to anyone else, but I want to pose it to you because you've had some very thoughtful answers so far. When you're looking at what you think the main genre of your book is going to be, what really is the percentage do you feel like? Because there are a lot of subcategories when you're looking at Amazon as far as what genres your book falls into.
Hmm.
Um, so like mystery, thriller, horror, that kind of thing. Um, what do you feel like are certain categories that or certain pieces of the story plot line that has to fill in order for it to go into a specific, like for example, mystery?
So for me, so basically because mine uh I put mine under the crime suspense
Mm-hmm.
genre just because it's got some it has to deal with like crime. So there's uh Jack's rival, Gino, is basically he is kind of the underling to the main tyrant of the book,
Mm-hmm.
Drac, and he's a gun runner, he's a drug dealer, he deals in kind of major crimes. So that's why I feel
Gotcha.
it falls under the crime suspense, and then it's got these twists and turns to like it literally goes one way and then reverts back another way, the kind of that suspense genre. But then my Forged in Hell is just going to be suspense thriller because it's
Okay.
going to be it's not there's really no crime to it. So that's why I've kind of got broken up into that crime suspense thriller, so I could write some crime like with my one I'm working on with Jack, but then I can also write other crime suspense, so I can still kind of write under that still write under that umbrella of genre, but still
Gotcha.
so write different books but still stay under that genre.
Yeah. I feel like that's part of, especially when you get into, like, for example, with your wife and she does romance, you have this really big category. And when you're looking at it, as far as like wanting to make sure you're doing well, for the genre that you choose, as well, like making
Mm-hmm.
sure it accurately represents your story, you also want to make sure that it's going to chart well with what you choose. Because if it doesn't, Amazon's going to be a bully and push
Yes,
you
they
to
do.
even further down. They'll suppress your
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
So that's why I'm like, I wonder how many subcategories actually just get bullied into the dark corners of Amazon
Mm.
regularly.
Right, because I know one of the categories that I put Jack under was vigilante. So the kind of way
Mm-hmm.
that I explain it to people is if you took, because I'm also a big comic reader too, because I'm just a huge nerd all the way around.
Nothing wrong with
Um,
that.
but I basically, if you took basically Dick Tracy and the Punisher and put them together, you would get Jack Stone.
Okay.
So he's that vigilante. He basically uses everything in his arsenal that he basically he does anything in his arsenal to get the answers that he needs to kind of give a snippet of my book. So in Jack one, so Jack drives a '69 Mustang that he got from his grandpa. He got it restored, and he's trying to get into a locked room, and he's like, I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. So he gets in his car and he goes full speed and basically runs into the building to get into the door.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
First of all, we love the American muscle. Hey, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with Portia or anything like that. But true American muscle. It, it again. It's one of those nostalgic things. Like,
It is. Yes, it is.
ah, the words have escaped me. Just mm. So, tell me about since publishing and really getting into writing. Tell me about your journey with your social medias and how is that going for you as far as promoting? Because social media is hard in general, and I could not imagine having to do it to promote your stories.
Sorry. But no, it is. So yeah, it is. I do my marketing. I basically have on my cards. I have like my link tree up so that way you can reach me, Maverick Montgomery on Facebook, Instagram, on most social medias.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, just kind of I promote on Facebook, and then I just I'll put out like I'll do a post of my next. Actually, have it right now. My upcoming. I'll do like kind of like a U.S. tour. So my next one will be August. I'll be in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and then I will be in Branson next year, May 8th and 10th, and then I will be in Dallas in 2026. So I kind of release like where you can find me.
Okay. So also not only just on social media, but trying to make sure that your physical person is in places for people to connect with as well. That's amazing. I don't see. I mean, like obviously we have authors that like to do cons and things, but most of the time when an author is starting out, you don't see them a whole lot at cons. I don't know if it's just because they feel like they don't have enough following or if they don't know that they would benefit from it. Let me just tell you, you absolutely do. Even I understand monetarily wise, if you cannot, I completely get that. There are restrictions everywhere, but
Oh yeah.
The exposure alone from going to something that's maybe just like you and maybe 15 or 20 other authors, I promise you it's going to be worth it in some way because we have a one that's probably an hour and a half from my home and they do it at a small vineyard and there's maybe 30 authors top in a small gathering room and they just line the walls with their tables and things and they post about it. And even if you're brand new, the person to your right may not be, and they may have, a couple thousand people that have never seen your content before.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, I was actually just talking to another author about this earlier. Even the same goes for social media. Like people are talking about, I can't get with TikTok, I can't get past 200, 300 views. And I'm like, okay, your 200 and 300 views may not be the same 200 and 300 people every time. So you're reaching more people than you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were thinking about if you were standing on a stage in a room and 200 people were out in a crowd, it's more people than you think it is.
Yep, absolutely. And that's exactly how I see it is even though I may not do well monetarily at the convention, but it is all marketing. It is getting my name out there, and that's why I will always, anybody that comes to my table, I always give them my card, let them know that I'm on Kindle, because most people, kind of going back to what we were talking about, most people a lot will do ebooks. So I'll tell them, hey, yeah, I'm on Kindle Limited, I'm on KU, check me out. And then that way, because on my business cards, I've got my link tree, so you can reach my Amazon, you can reach my Facebook, my Instagram, all those sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that's just like when you do those cons, and you're sitting there, me personally, when I attend them, I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick up, I hope it's okay with you, but I want to pick up an extra, card or bookmark or, print or something that has your information on it so I can send it to my friends, because I'm in, 10, 15, 30 different Facebook groups and we send snail mail back and forth. So I'll send my friend your card and I'll throw it in her stuff. And, depending on, your cover or your name or, just if she's actually going through it and she's missing something for that day, she wants to have try something new, your information is already there with her. And most of the time,
Yeah.
my friends are really good about, they'll go through everything in the package and like take a picture with it. And then they're scanning and looking up names. And whenever we get a new name, we'll go in and like put it on our Goodreads list and start looking for KU and those kind of things. So it's even better when people are on KU, even though I personally have gotten to the point where I don't use KU. Please don't come for me. My listeners, please do not come for me. You've heard my spiel about why I don't use KU anymore. But yeah, it is beneficial for most.
Right.
I
Absolutely. Yes.
I would just prefer to actually purchase myself the e-copy because I know you guys get more from that most of the
Mhm.
time.
Absolutely.
Um,
Basically, it helps. It definitely it helps our algorithm on Amazon or wherever the book is um, basically at to kind of help our rating. So yes, absolutely, uh, and not just me, but any author, the listeners listening to this. Support your local author. Absolutely, 100%. I even if I don't succeed, I'd like to see other authors or other new baby authors succeed to kind of get your name out there.
mhm. I I have this. They'll probably get tired of hearing this. If you've heard this spiel before, you can just skip through the next couple minutes. But the reason I choose not to do KU and I would rather either put it on my Kindle wish list or just outright purchase is because I know how little the KU paid reaches
Mhm.
pay out. And so I know if it's going to benefit you guys more, I will just go ahead and purchase the e-copy. So I'm like, they already get my money for Prime. They don't need my money for KU. And
Exactly.
I'm to the point where if an author has chosen to go wide instead of electing into KU, um, most of the time they end up using Kobo, which is new and up and coming. And I've
Mhm.
heard that Kobo pays their authors a little bit more per page read. And so I'm like one of those, I'll probably end up buying it through Kindle for the ebook anyways. And then I'll probably read it through Kobo as well. And then you get all the revenues of many instead of
Right.
just one.
Yeah, I've kind of looked at other platforms to kind of have my books, and I've seen Kobo, and kind of started research and kind of dig into what they do. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I feel like I know I never meant to say that like nobody whatever the choice you're using, if it's working for you, obviously I want you to continue using it because, Kindle KU, Kindle Vella is huge and has been paying lots of people and helping support their lifestyles.
Hmm.
Um, but I also know the people that aren't using KU, they do choose to use Kobo. I'm like, as many services as we can have. I don't like that KU does not allow you to put it other places.
Yeah.
But that it again is Amazon monopoly kind of thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. Like I said, Amazon kind of rules the world.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Okay, so we talked about your criteria for your stories and what you classify them as far as the genre in itself. What characteristics do you feel like makes a character you're writing a well-rounded character?
So kind of my um like kind of all my male characters. So I've got Jack, who's my private investigator. He's tough, but he is also caring at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Jack he will do anything to get the answers that he needs.
Mm-hmm.
But he also he has in the series he has his kind of his friends and partners, Abigail, and then his best friend Andy. Um, he will, but is like I said, he's tough, but he's very caring. Same way with kind of the main, not the main protagonist, but my um, in Forged in Hell, the main one, the president of Forged in Hell is Axel James. He
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the same way. He is very tough, very seasoned, but he is also very caring.
Gotcha. So there's got to be a little bit of yin and yang going on.
Absolutely. So yes, they have that soft inner side that they only show to their, I guess, their friends and family, but to people that are harming their that are putting them in harm's way, he will basically show that you don't mess with them.
Gotcha. Okay. Is this more of like a big brother thing, or is it more of like a father thing? Like the protector, because sometimes the dad goes above and beyond and crosses some lines, and sometimes the brother is just like, the studious bodyguard type.
It's kind of I guess, just the bodyguard type.
Okay.
But I know his friends and family will kind of put him in his place when they need to, basically when he's when they absolutely need to.
Yes. Look, I love a character that is rough and tough and has that side, but there's always that one sassy person, the side character, that likes to snap and put the gruff character in their place, and that sassy side character is me.
Yeah, that is definitely Abigail. Abigail is very, she is very, very sassy, and then also Jack is a, he cares for his mother. His kind of another snippet. His mother is attacked in book 1, and his mom definitely, like, she's bleeding, but she, even though she's bleeding, she still puts Jack in his place.
Yeah. That's that tough love.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have it somewhere.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we've got kind of a little bit of everything. What was the last few books that you read that you gave 5 stars?
The last one that I gave 5 stars, well, probably the last one that I read, that is Ready Player One. Ready Player One is, I gave 5 stars too. And then also and then also the other one that I gave 5 stars to is Step Brothers Darling from KA Night as well.
Ooh. I read Den of Vipers probably 2 years ago, and I have been meaning to find the Court of Nightmares book.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I remind myself about it, I forget again. And I'm like, I know it's going to be good.
Right.
I know it's going to be good. Just that KA Night.
Yes.
Okay. We've got your recent reads. We heard your always recommend earlier. Do you have a book that you read that you think you'd probably never recommend, and why? I know it's a tough question, and I know you got to put somebody out there.
That's a very tough question. Oh my goodness. I can't, honestly. I really can't think of anything. I can't really think of anything that, because I mean, each book is going to be its own. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though it's going to be just under different genres, it's going to have its different perspective.
Yep.
And I mean, to me, it's going to be the perspective of the reader, because
Yeah.
someone likes, if I read something that I liked but you didn't, I know you would kind of give it a different review than I would. So it's just going to be basically just literally the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple, and it's not necessarily because they weren't a good book, but it's one of those, it's, again, eye of the beholder thing, mainly just because the few that I have read are all the books that talk about really tough situations morally,
Mm-hmm.
and not even just morally, but it's one of those you have to be careful who you recommend them to. So Jodi Picoult is one of those few authors who likes to write about racial inequality
Mm-hmm.
and cheating and those sort of things. And so those are not always really easy to read. And one of the more specific is Small Great Things, where she writes about a black nurse who is working one day, and a white member of the KKK comes into the hospital that she works at, and his pregnant wife is about to go into labor, and they basically are being really discriminative and
Mm-hmm.
ask for another nurse, and the baby ends up dying.
Mm-hmm.
Some things happen. She ends up having to help because they're short staffed. The baby ends up dying, and the guy blames it on her because she took it a little too hard that she was dismissed from the case.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really rough subject to be in anyway. It's a hard subject to deal with because it does involve child death, and it does involve racial inequality. And then mixing those two things, it's just one of those, like, not to say that it wasn't a great story, because it was an overcoming story, and she did have to try to talk to her young son about, why things were changing in their lifestyle, because she could not go to work, and what was happening, and why this man was so angry with her, and this man had to overcome his views and realize that he was wrong. It was a great story. It was laid out wonderfully, but it's still one of those that I am so hesitant to recommend to anybody because of the problems, the issues, and the things that they have to overcome, because a lot of people will not want to read about those things.
Right, and it absolutely is, and I totally agree with that. That it's knowing who to promote your book to,
Mm-hmm.
knowing your audience. So like somebody, yeah, absolutely, like that book there wouldn't be for everybody, because, and that's actually why. So my second book, I didn't do it for my first one, but for my second one, I put in a trigger warning,
Mm-hmm.
and I will probably do it for my third one as well, just because there are a lot of, so like in Jack Stone, in Blood from a Stone, there's a lot more gunplay and a lot more violence, and there's also a kind of a somewhat of a sex scene. So I kind of put those triggers in there just because it may trigger somebody. But yeah, like I said, it's basically it's knowing your audience,
Mm-hmm.
who you promote it to, and not promoting a trigger for somebody.
Yeah. And obviously, that's not to say that that trigger maybe, because for me, I don't have very many. So it's that situation where if an author is like, I need someone who has absolutely no triggers to read something, I'm the first to volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
because there's hardly ever anything that you could make me read that would rock me off my axis. There are a few things that I'm like, I don't want to read it. Um, Anything involving any kind of inappropriate with a child, no, thank you. I can read about the death portions, but anything inappropriate in a sexual manner with a child, no, I cannot. I will
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
But that's the
absolutely.
only
Yeah,
one and those things are hardly ever written, anyways.
yeah,
Um, so,
and that's just kind of like with that is, so my third one, kind of give another a preview. So Jack actually goes to jail in the third book.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack does kill a pedophile.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yeah,
I'm here for it.
so
I'm
yeah,
just going to be honest. Like, my husband is one of those. He was like, I'm sorry for anybody who does not agree with gun violence or anything, but I live in South or Northeast Texas, so I live in the South. And
yeah.
um, down here, it is very big. Second Amendment, all of those
Hmm.
things. And my husband was like, a lot of people like to make these OnlyFans. He was like, but if I made one, it would be me doing away with pedophiles. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of here for it. Um, that statement's not for
Yeah,
everybody, but I'm here for it.
yeah. So yeah,
I'm like, that would probably be popular, but anyways.
yes, it would. Yes,
um, that's funny.
yeah,
I will definitely be reading your stories now. Looking
yeah,
forward to your third book.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
Blood from a Stone, and then everything will be out on like on Amazon. So yes,
we've gotten all the teasers today.
yeah,
Yes, score.
yep.
So, do you have any recent releases or upcoming releases of others that you're looking forward to? Last few questions.
Upcoming. Um, so I've got actually, she's actually a baby. She's actually a baby author right now. Her name is Sasha McCollin. She does sports romance. She does a lot around baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big baseball fan, so that's one I'm looking forward to. She's got a couple off, and then always my wife I'll always promote my wife because she kind of got me started.
Yes.
So anybody listening, either Ava Monroe or Magnolia Montgomery, that is my wife's name. So of course I gotta plug her because like I said, she got me
Yes.
started on this journey. But she's got Paws Off, which is it's about an MMA fighter that adopts a dog. Anything with dogs. I'm a big animal lover as well. I actually have two dogs of my own, and one right now I'm staring at because she's passed out on the floor. So, um, but yeah, that's probably the two that I'm looking forward to. But any book that that's going to spark my interest. And that's just any book that literally, I know they never say judge a book by its cover, but I always look at the cover first and read the synopsis. And I feel like if it's going to be something that I'm going to enjoy and dig into, I'm going to pick it up and read it and promote that author.
So I love that you said you're a synopsis reader because I am not. All I need is a pretty cover or a small quote, and I'm here for it. I'm diving right in. A
Yeah.
lot of people are. I have to tell other people, please don't do what I do. Do not go in blind. But because I have no triggers, I can go in blind to anything, and it'll be fine. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't recommend that for anybody else.
I gotta have that. Like that cover, to me, the cover is the draw.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what's going to catch my attention. But then, and I agree with you. There's like the series tagline, but then I've got to read the synopsis because I mean, if it's like if that's going to be to me like that cover is going to be the catch, is going to be the hook. But then you basically need to draw me in with that synopsis and say, okay, because that's actually why I my wife got me into it. But for an example, again, my favorite Den of Vipers. If anybody's never read Den of Vipers, the cover is a skull with a snake and roses, that's my draw. And then reading the synopsis, it's mafia, and I absolutely love mafia books. So that was kind of my draw.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I probably could find recommendations somewhere in my library for anything anybody asks me for.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. It's like, yeah, you like cars? Okay, I got you. You like mafia? Yeah, I got you. You like this? Yep, I got you too. So,
Yep. I we were talking about the never ending TBR earlier. I'm just going to be 100% honest. There are probably well over 400 print books in my house. I have not even read 100 of them.
Yeah,
I have 2,000 plus books on my Kindle and probably a couple hundred on my Nook. And that's the ones
yeah,
I have not even, that does not include the ones on my Goodreads that I haven't touched yet.
yeah. I love to read. But my wife being a full time writer and me working a full time job, so
Mm-hmm.
she reads a lot more than I do. But so her books kind of starting to slowly creep into the guest room slash man cave, and then out into the living room, and so it's kind of slowly starting to devour the house.
So you're going to have a library instead of a house.
Yes, or basically a slowing. So I think if I would ever basically build her the Beauty and the Beast library, I think um, she would probably lose her mind.
I'm going to faint. I want one. I want to go get my husband. I want one.
Right.
Listen, you have one job.
Yes.
I highly doubt that's going to happen. She's going to be like, I need a garage for my motorcycles.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. I
Okay.
don't have anything else. It was
Okay.
so
Well,
nice talking to you.
same. It has definitely been a joy, and um, again, if your listeners want to reach out to me, Maverick Montgomery on Facebook, Instagram, and on my Facebook, I've got my, like I said, I've got my U.S. tour. So if you want to come, even just stop on my table, come say hi and have a conversation, I'm okay with that. I like to meet new people, and so absolutely.
For sure. We'll get all of this put in the show notes for all of our lovely listeners. And hopefully we'll be chatting again in the future.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.